Welcome back, everybody. Dean and I were just having a little conversation here about she feels she was born too late, and she'd been born another time, and she says that she likes history, and because you need to kind of know where you've been, either as a person, as a people, in order to know where you might be heading. And generally that's true, but as I pointed out to her, it doesn't seem to matter in this society anymore. People can look at 5 people doing the same stupid shit, and they have to go do the same stupid shit. People just don't want to learn. And I blame the parents. People have tried to figure out exactly where, black folk, the black community, black society, where it went bad. I mentioned this before. There was an independent theater in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and I saw a documentary there. It was like some Swedish cats that came over to America in I think like 1972 or 73 or something like that, or perhaps the late 60s, but it's in around that time frame, and to film the racial clash that was going on in America, the civil rights movement, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they filmed a bunch of people, all the Stokely Carmichael and the Black Panthers and Angela Davis and all these people. And like the film just went nowhere, and they went back, and basically it was found and edited together, and they showed it at this independent film theater. And the one thing that I noticed about blacks back then was that no matter how poor they were, and some of these cats were poor. They interviewed a woman who had like 5 children or something like that and was trying to hold everything together. They sounded like, they had some sort of education. They sounded like they weren't, raised in a trash can. They sounded like they actually wanted to be a better black man or a better black woman. As opposed to these vagabonds today who just sound like whatever the fuck they want to sound like because that's what's good and that's what's cool. And, it saddened me, and it made me ponder even more. Where did it all go wrong? Was it the crack epidemic? Was it, some claim it was hip-hop, but that's bullshit. That was just a microphone for the ignorance when it really started spiraling out of control. So somewhere along the line, our parents failed us, and failed us horribly. Might do a documentary on that one day. But anyway, this kind of leads into this last story here. A little bit of science, a little bit more science for you. Apparently, children brought up by 2 parents are more intelligent because they develop more brain cells. For those of you who may be familiar with Chris Rock, who has fallen off, by the way. I'm sorry, Chris, but you don't have it anymore. Chris Rock said one time, just because you can raise a kid by yourself doesn't mean it's a good idea. Paraphrasing. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. Once again, going back to the conversation Dean and I just had. If you're a chick and you see that your mother made some really bad choices because you and your 3 brothers and sisters all have different fathers and none of them are around. If you see that her sister has 3 kids, no father in sight, the kids are just fucking, wild ass motherfuckers in the street. If, your girlfriend, just popped out her 2nd kid and, is on in the system and collecting her checks every month, and is ignorant all and looks miserable, by the way. It makes logical sense that you should then not find some ignorant weed head degenerate and let him busting up in you and follow the same path. Yet this happens all the time. All the time. Apparently people just can't learn from history, or they just, I don't know. Skillet constantly says that, they're dumbing us down. Well, these are one of the things that's like, well, maybe they are dumbing us down because it's so clear that these people are miserable. It's so clear that, at best they're what, we call around here ghetto fabulous, which is, you're wallowing in the muck of ignorance and niggardry, yet you think everything is just fucking wonderful, and maybe it has something to do with this. So according to this story, children who are brought up by two parents grow up to be more clever than those raised by just one, research suggests. Being with both parents in the earliest years of life leads to a child developing more brain cells, the scientists believe. However, the benefits vary between the sexes. Being brought up by both parents causes boys to have better memory and learning functions. By contrast, it causes girls to develop improved motor coordination and sociability. It is believed that babies with two parents tend to get more attention and more stability, and that they are less likely to suffer emotional distress in the first years of life. This leads to greater brain cell production. For boys, it is gray matter brain cells that develop, and for girls, it is white matter brain cells. I actually didn't know that. The researchers from the Hopkins Brain Institute of Calgary University in Canada studied mice and experimented by creating one-parent and two-parent family groups, then measured the offspring's brain development from birth to adulthood. Adult mice with the highest number of brain cells turned out to be those who had been brought up by two parents rather than one. So again, you can do it. You can hold it down. You can do better by yourself. Blah, 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 blah. Does it make it a good idea? Now, can I pick out a man and give you 100% certainty that he won't break out and abandon you and leave you, busting your ass for the rest of your fucking life, trying to raise this kid? No, of course not. However, I believe in two things very strongly. I believe in giving myself options, and I believe in playing the percentages. Some might call it playing it safe. Maybe, maybe not. I've jumped out of a fucking airplane before. I wouldn't quite say that I live my life playing it safe. But when it comes to, being miserable with some bitch who is just giving me grief and raping my pockets and, fucking up my future relationships and whatever else, and maybe, not let me see my kid and blah, 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 blah. I play that fucking safe. I try to, give myself the best chance possible to make sure that doesn't happen. I've waited years, literally, before I settled down with, my current girlfriend. And my friends were like, oh, you're too picky. Oh, by the way, I don't do children. I don't go into, with chicks that have kids. And they were like, oh, well, at our age, and this was back when I was in my early 30s. At our age, it's going to be really hard for you to find a woman who doesn't have kids. Then guess what? I'll be fucking alone. Because at least when I'm alone, I know I'm not miserable, But apparently, I'm a weirdo. I'm a freak, But what I also am is a person that's in a relationship that's happy. I don't have, a fucking spouse, or more importantly, a baby mama, who I can't, as long as my child is alive, I'm now eternally linked to this person, who I might want to strangle, who I might want to hit in the back with a 20-pound sledgehammer, to paralyze her and not have her be able to come to my house or apartment to fuck with me. These are things I think about. And apparently, these people think about it too. Take the time, wait, find somebody, give yourself the chance, better odds. That's all. Give yourself some odds. I know a lot of you women, you just can't be alone. I have people in my life who are suffering from this affliction. I can't be alone. I need somebody. Even though there's somebody fucking abuses me verbally, abuses me emotionally, make me feel bad about myself, but he's there. This is the upside of the whole shit. He's fucking there. All right, well, again, I know I'm a man. I know I was socialized differently. Blah, 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 blah. Fuck that. There was other things I was socialized with. I was socialized to be a Catholic. I left that shit in a hurry because I used my sense, You people have the option. I'm just saying. Anything to add, Dina?
Yes, I so agree with that study. Me as a child, well, as a young lady, as 21, I have both my mom and dad to this day. And compared to my friends who just had mom, really no dad, like our mindsets is so completely different. Like all the girls that I know have kids already, and we just hit 21. Like I don't have no kids, and their moms were like, "Oh, well, your friend's gonna grow up to have kids and not finish school and be on welfare." And it's like they're the ones that didn't finish school, that's on welfare, and it's like growing up. My mom had me at like 32. And she had my brother at like 27. And her and my dad were already married. They knew each other since they were like 8 years old. And they grew up together. And it's like, I always knew that's how I wanted my life to be.
Right.
I want to get married first. I want to finish school. And then I want to have kids. Like, a lot of, like, I have a boyfriend now. And his friends tell him, like, well, you need to get her pregnant because she's really pretty. And I'm like, this is what your friends are retards at. Because at the end of the day, I'm like, you don't need to get me pregnant to keep me to stay. I'm like, I want to finish school. I want to have a house. I don't want to share a room in my mom's house with you and a baby and cats, and she gotta watch the baby because I gotta go work the minimum wage job. I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want to settle, and I don't want to be unhappy and live my life, this mediocre life of welfare and food stamps and all of that stuff. Like, I just have a friend that told me the other day she was pregnant, and all I could do was like, well, are you ready for this? And she's like, yeah, it's gonna make me change my life around. I'm like, let's be honest. I'm like, you didn't finish school, you never finished 9th grade.
Oh my God.
And you about to be 20. I'm like, your boyfriend sells drugs, doesn't have a house of his own. I'm like, honestly, how well do you think this is gonna like end up?
Do you see? Out of the mouths of babes. And I could personally testify that Dina is not ghetto filth. And now we know why.
Thanks, mommy and daddy. I love you.
Yeah, thanks, Dina's mom and dad. Good job. All the rest of you assholes out there. Yo, listen up. Repeat this. Play this at high volumes wherever you are if you don't even know how to work a fucking computer. All right. I'm done. This has been another edition of Insanity Check. Once again, we are on Facebook at Insanity Check. You can tweet us at Insanity Check 12. Our YouTube channel is Insanity Check Radio, and our Google Plus page, Insanity Check, where you can join us and be part of our circle. Questions, comments, stories, please bring them along. Actually, I know I complained last week that people were sending me stories after the show, and I did get a couple of stories before the show. Sorry I didn't get a chance to use them, but I appreciate that you set you followed directions. Very nice. I thank you very much. Please don't let this disturb you.
They must have mom and dad.
Exactly. Thank you again, Dina. Your parents taught you well. Anyway, Skillet and I will be back next week, so please join us. On behalf of Dina and myself, thank you guys for watching. Catch you later.